Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. It's our back to school episode where we discuss education in science fiction. Because without education, what would science fiction be? Joining us for the conversation is Andrea Cardama, a real life teacher and educator. You might know her from her podcasting on the Crash Couch, a show about the Expanse. So grab a drink and get ready to be edified. This is the SciFi Pubcast. Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the pub that tries to be a podcast and the podcast that tries to be a pub. With us today, we have our staff that's currently working. To begin with, we have Carrie Simpson. That's her name. I was going to say Carrie Fisher. Wow. How are you doing tonight, Carrie?
Hi, I'm good. I wish I were as witty as Carrie Fisher was. That would make my life so much easier, or not. I get in trouble enough as it is.
Yeah. Well, those worse people to be. So, and
True.
Of course, yeah. And we have our trusty kitchen dishwasher person, Mr. Derek Beebe.
Hi, everybody.
That's
Trusty is a loose term, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we haven't had anyone die yet because of dirty plates yet. So
Okay. Good to know.
So how's things in your universe, Derek?
Pretty good. I saw Thor in the movie theater today, Thor the Original. It was part of a special weekend thing at the movie theater.
Right. So when you say Thor the Original, it's the one that came out about 10 years ago?
Yep.
Right. Okay, cool. And just let our customers know we are going to be speaking about, education in science fiction. It's our back to school episode. So we have a special guest / customer. It's Andrea Cardama. Am I even close?
Oh my God.
Are going to send me back to Spanish speaking school?
Yes, you're going to have to.
Oh, God. Okay, how do you say your name properly, okay?
Andrea Cardama.
I was right.
Okay. Hey, Andrea, you want a job here? And the reason we have Andrea on is, what's your profession you do in real life to earn income?
I am an education coordinator, so I teach biology, chemistry, math, and also English.
Great. And you can probably teach us Spanish later because you speak Spanish, right?
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, I know. It's going to be challenging. That's cool. And this is not the first time you've done podcasting.
Nope, it's not.
Wow. Tell us about your adventures in podcasting world.
I actually just started in the Crash Couch with Chris and Lou. So this is not, what's it called? Unfamiliar territory.
Rodeo?
Yes.
Right. So the Expanse is based on a series of books, and it's been on Sci-Fi and Space as a TV show. It just wrapped up season 2 a couple months ago, and it's been renewed for at least season 3, right?
Yes.
And season 4 is still unknown right now at this point?
We don't know about season 4 yet.
And my understanding is that you just took a tour of the set of
Yes.
the TV show.
I
So,
got-
before we do anything, we got to ask you about this because it happened. Is it Pinewood, Toronto? Is where they shoot?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure exact location, but it
Did
is
they
in
blindfold
Toronto. No, I was just too excited to remember exact place, but it was in Toronto. That's
Okay, so
as much as I
we've
can
narrowed
say.
down the city. Okay, so it's a Canadian city in southern Ontario. That's good. Were you drinking at the time? Because I would have been.
Pardon.
Were you drinking at the time? Because I would have been.
I wish I was to calm the nerves, but no, I wasn't.
So okay, so how cool was that experience?
It was an honor to be there. I mean, it's part of the reason why I went was because because of the podcast, because of the Crash Couch, and another reason is because of the bond that I share with the visual effects team. So for them to have invited me was amazing, just to tour a place that I really love and hold very dear to my heart. There's no words to describe how amazing it was.
I'm really jealous.
Hopefully I get to do it again.
Well, I think the last movie set I was on, or film set I was on, was like Sequest, before my dad retired. But yeah, those set visits were always kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And sticking with our topic of the day, which is back to school and education, did you learn any cool stuff while you were visiting the set, Andrea?
I learned a couple of things about season 3, which I cannot disclose. And I also learned a little bit of what goes behind the scenes in terms of acting, changing scenes, how many tries and takes it requires to get one complete scene. So it was a lot of awesome things.
Excellent. Derek, any comments on The Expanse?
I like the TV show. I've read all the books. It's pretty good.
Cool. And I highly recommend The Expanse. It's probably my favorite new property that's came out in the last several years.
Yeah, me too.
And the reason why I got into it is because the folks that Andrea does the podcast with, Chris and Lou, were really into it because they saw it at New York Comic Con 2 years ago, and it just came from there. So, Okay, let's dive into our discussion. Education. This is going to be interesting. Because I spent too many years at university. We have Andrea, who's actually a licensed teacher, spent probably too many years at university. We got Derek. Derek, how's the dishwashing going?
It's going
good. And we have Carrie. So education. Let's think about this. What's the purpose of education, and how does it translate or is used in science fiction? What do you guys think? Go.
Well, everyone knows the purpose of education is to pass standardized tests.
Oh my God.
No, that is not the purpose of education. No wonder you didn't become a teacher, Derek.
Andrea, you're an actual teacher. Surely you can back me up on this.
No, I cannot.
Wow.
The way that I could describe education, it's or the purpose of it is to provide the developing minds the tools necessary for them to survive in society. That's just a basic definition of what I think education is.
Oh, that's actually quite
at least I'm given to understand that it's better in at least Los Angeles now, but we didn't public school when I was going to school didn't really prepare you for life. It just basically taught you, said you're going for your degree, you're going to go into college, you're going to go learn all this stuff. It doesn't really teach you about how to survive in the world or anything like that. One our valedictorian actually kind of ripped our teaching staff in high school about that on graduation day. It was really, really fun.
Wait, isn't an education supposed to train you to get a job?
In theory, yeah.
Oh, no, you fell for the trap. I'm a humanities grad, okay?
I would say in practice, every level of education is just preparing you for the next level of education. Like high school is to prepare you for college. College is to prepare you for graduate school. And is it really necessary for us to learn calculus or French to work at my job in the bank, for example? I don't use math at all, and I work in a bank.
Not.
How's your Latin doing?
We didn't even have the option of taking Latin.
Yeah, I've never had Latin as an option.
Oh,
well, the interesting thing about the way I have to deal with education is not within a school. My job primarily is to look at cognitive abilities and also academic abilities and teach students or coach students how to be able to apply it in everyday life. So it's not just about the academic aspects of it. It's also about how they can use everything that they're learning in order to apply it to, whether it be at home, whether it be at a mall or anything along those lines.
Now, see, that's something I would have liked when I was in school.
Is this not a traditional school, Andrea? Is it like a Montessori thing?
It's a learning center. As I said, I'm an education coordinator. So one of the things that I do is with every student that comes into our center, we give them an assessment. The assessment looks at their cognitive potential and their abilities. And then we look at how strong their academic skills are. And with those two things in mind, we individualize their education.
Wow.
What grade is this?
I primarily focus on grade 7 to grade 12.
So it's not a traditional teaching a classroom. This year we're doing, World War II, that sort of thing.
No, it's holistic. It's all subjects, all aspects of what they're doing within their normal school days.
Sounds very science fiction-y.
Oh, thanks. I try.
But it's not
thought
fiction.
it was a compliment.
But it's not fiction. It's happening. Let's go. I like what Andrea said right out of the gate. Is it's to have the students be survivable or functioning within the society, because different societies have different priorities, and you can see that in science fiction. Like I just for instance rewatched Ender's Game again. And so you have a society that was almost wiped off the face of the Earth 50 years previously from this insect invasion, and so they somehow survived that, and they focus on military training in order to survive against this grave threat from another world. So it rationalizes and explains why they're trying to create the next Napoleon or Julius Caesar with the brightest kids at a very young age. So this whole reflection of society is interesting when you see what's the purpose of education. Because if you go back to the ancient Greeks, the Platos and the Socrates and all that, these wonderful philosophers, it's all about education, to think for yourself, to actually be critical, to actually form reasonable positions and then defend against argument in terms of attack. And that's how you grow. And that's partly how society grows. So you can contrast these two. I know I've talked too much. What do you think?
No. That's really good, Joel.
And in stark contrast to normal American public schooling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that because I didn't go to school in the States.
I did.
Tell us about that.
It's different. I spent from grade 2 all the way to grade 6 in Florida. So I was in the public education system. It was very different from the education system here in Canada.
Different better or different worse?
See, the thing is that,
Not
and I'm not going to, no, it's not that. It's that I feel like I learned more in a Canadian school than I learned in an American school. And it's not because the curriculum is different. I just feel like the approach is different in terms of teaching.
That makes sense. Well, actually, one of my cousins came over here from Germany and did his junior year here. And then when he went back home, he had to repeat that year in Germany because what he learned here wasn't up to par with what they learned over there for the same age group.
Well, isn't America almost dead last in the what do they call it, the first world for its education?
Maybe I don't pay attention to that.
But that's the ironic part about the U.S. school system, because they have the very, very best higher institutions of learning. Harvard, Princeton, Notre Dame. Maybe not, but so it's like, but you pay for the privilege, right? So if you look at a nation of 330 million right now, something like that, there is an elite who has the best education, who goes to these, the best universities. In Canada, it's just much more, flat towards the middle, because if you really want to go to university, you can get there somehow because it's costly, but it's not $50,000 a year costly, which is the tuition rate at Harvard, I believe. At least it was when I looked into it years ago.
But
University isn't free in Canada?
Oh no, it's not like
No.
it's not like the German system used to be. So, yeah. Actually, when I was going to Brock University in St. Catharines in the 90s, I spent a lot of time around German exchange students. And it's funny because at that time, they were going to university for free in Germany. And then they had the government of the day, they put in tuition fees, and it was something like $500 for a 2-term study period. And they had major protests in Germany because the way they think about their society. Yes, you pay more taxes. However, there's a trade-off. So and again, it's a reflection on society.
Yeah.
And I think if you use that, say, in science fiction as a genre, you see that because science fiction as a genre explores these issues, whereas other genres, not so much because it's not as speculative.
Right.
Like, who doesn't want to go to Starfleet Academy? Like, sign me up.
That looks like way too much work.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how early you start learning stuff, because I know especially a lot of science fiction. They talk about how if you start teaching a kid, math and science early, they're better able to do it. I remember the episodes off the top of my head, but there are episodes where they're talking to a 10-year-old kid who's doing calculus. I'm like, what? Okay. Maybe I would have been better at calculus if I had started at 10 or not.
Well, the thing is that, and it was talked about when we were discussing a little bit of Ender's Game, is that I took a neurobiology course in university in order to learn about child development and how the brain works. And one of the things that I learned about was about the synapses and how we have the most during early childhood and during the onset of puberty. So that's the most critical time to be learning. So it's very interesting that, yes, if you start earlier, the chances of you sucking in a lot of that information is going to be leading to more success in the future, because children are like sponges. I mean, you give them so much and they'll give a lot back to you in terms of what they know.
Did anyone read the Star Trek Voyager novel Mosaic?
No, I haven't read that one yet.
It's actually the backstories of all the characters, and most of it takes place at Starfleet Academy. And it just sounds like a really, really tough program. They're working all day, all night. I mean, every once in a while they snuck out for a drink or what have you, but it was a tough program. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I think it would be very similar to, say, a military academy like West Point, Annapolis, or in Canada, Royal Military College. Because not only are you a student, you are actually belonging to the organization as a cadet or as a whatever rank they were, ensign,
right.
And
it's basically officer school, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would imagine there's some standardized testing involved.
I imagine. Plus, they would have to learn, military tactics, and some of them probably would be learning piloting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
How not to have money.
How not to have money? Well, no, I think we discussed this on one of the betas. Is
I know they grew up.
Yeah, like your basic needs are taken care of, and if you want stuff that's extra, you have to earn a living somehow. But I don't think it's that they actually don't have money. It's that they don't have physical, tangible money. At least that's always been my assumption. But I could be wrong, and that's not what we're talking about this week. So,
well, thanks for your 2 cents worth, Carrie.
No problem.
Sorry, the first pun on the show. Yes.
Speaking of socialist paradises, would it be spoilerish to talk about what Earth is like in the Expanse series, since they haven't talked about it much on the TV show?
Well, we get to see a little bit of it through Bobby's eyes.
Right. But I mean, in terms of people being on basic and things like that?
A little bit, I think. I don't know if they're going to be touching up on it in the later seasons.
I mean, do you think that'd be safe to talk about? Because I don't want to spoil people who haven't read the books. But that's just like background.
I've only finished the 4th book. So unless they talk about it in books 5 or 6, it's probably not a good idea.
Carrie, what's taking so long?
I've had other books to read. Sorry, and Joel's sending me another one to read. So.
It happens, reading
happens.
Reading is supposed to be good for education. So,
Yeah.
So that's my understanding. But it helps you with things with language, with communications, with critical
vocabulary.
thought. Yeah, that too.
And one of my English teachers actually used to say that reading makes you a better writer. Unfortunately, I don't write as much as I used to, but
Yeah, I think the best thing is
trying to fix that.
Yeah, I think we're all at fault that, the best way to do stuff is actually do it and just, it doesn't matter if it's filmmaking or writing, just keep on doing it, pump content out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, admire what's out there already, either through film or through novels, and just, live it.
Exactly.
And for terms of science fiction, this is why I really like this show, because we get to live science fiction every 2 weeks with some sort of new angle, a new issue. So,
And it's pretty interesting because going back to the reading, I do have one of my students who loves to read, and he loves to write too. He's pretty young. And one of the reasons I asked him during our talks is, why do you like reading and writing? And one of the things he said is that it allows him to have control of the world that he's diving into. And that was pretty interesting, is that a lot of his parents control what he does or what he do, what's happening during his day. But when he dives into a book or when he dives into his writing, that's when he's able to escape. And that's pretty amazing. And
yeah, it is.
A lot of people right now, they're more into listening to books or finding other means to read books. And we've also had situations where students have low reading skills because they don't take the time to actually grab a book, and instead of listening to it, they actually read it. So that's pretty interesting.
I blame Twitter.
What? No.
No. It's one of the reasons I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks. Is I need to see the words. I need to see what I'm reading, and it's really easy for me when I'm listening to an audiobook to get distracted by something else.
Me too.
It's like I have to either be listening to one thing or the other, or doing something else. I can't be doing both at the same time. So unless I have to be doing some kind of mindless busy work while I'm listening, and then even then I'll lose focus. So most of the time, if I'm listening to an audiobook, it's usually something I've read 2 or 3 times that I know is that back to front. I can just listen to the voice in my head and just go on about my business.
Yeah, I can't listen to audiobooks at all because I just immediately start daydreaming or thinking about something else, and then I've missed, what happened while I was distracted, and then I can't follow what happened after that because I missed the middle part.
I'm the same way.
But you
I tried
1.5 times speed, Derek. That shouldn't be a problem.
That's podcasts.
Oh,
at a podcast, people are just talking garbage the whole time. So if you miss something, it doesn't matter.
Oh, ouch!
Unless it's the Crash Couch or SciFi Pubcast, of course.
Let me just find you on Twitter so I can unfollow you.
I can send the Ewoks after him. They don't like him anyway. Have you met my security staff, Andrea?
Nope.
I pay the big bucks, okay? Well, it's interesting you guys are talking about, reading as a way to educate yourself, because I think we can split the hairs to say there's education and there's training, and that these two concepts are linked, but they're separate. It's one thing to learn how to fight, use violence. There's another. Or to steer a starship, or to jump out of a plane, or do whatever. These are skills based activities.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite another to look at it from an educational point of view, at the higher end. So, in Star Trek, what's the economic systems like? Why is it like that? Who wins from it? Who loses from it? Things like that. So you have these contrast stuff. Like go back to training. Any martial art movie from the 1980s will have, of course, a training scene where think of the Karate Kid or whatever, where they actually train and train and train for the big fight at the end of the movie.
Yeah, as much as I love the Karate Kid, it's like that, having been in martial arts for 10 years and knowing that it took at least 3 years to get a black belt, that's just so impractical. That movie is just so impractical now. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. So when you do martial arts, yes, it's skill based, but it's also a way of thinking about things. Isn't that right?
Oh yeah.
It's a way about approaching your environment.
Mm-hmm.
It comes. It's the spiritual stuff. It's the mental stuff. It could be tactics. It could be all these things.
Well, so there's definitely an awareness of space and things in your space. But actually, you were talking about Harry Potter and the fifth. Has everyone here read the Harry Potter books?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Before you go, Carrie. Before you go on, we have to read this because we are a sci-fiction pubcast. But each time we mention anything to do with fantasy, I gotta cite Arthur C. Clarke's law about there's 3 laws. The one that's relevant here is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
That is true.
Just because we call it magic, it could possibly be science fiction, so go ahead.
Thank you. Well, okay, so everyone here has read the Harry Potter books, or at least seen the movies?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
They were magical.
Yes, they were. So the fifth movie, the fifth book, Order of the Phoenix, actually deals with this whole issue of practical training versus theoretical training, book learning, because the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher in the fifth book, Umbridge, insists that they don't actually have to learn any defensive spells. They can learn everything they need to know just by reading the theories. And it makes and from a practical point of view, that makes no sense, because you have to learn the right wand movements, you have to learn the right words, you have to learn how to say them in the correct order and the correct pronunciation in order for a spell to work. And if all you're doing is reading theory and assuming that you are never going, and your instructor is assuming that you are never going to get into a situation where you would have to defend yourself, that's just not going to work.
And I do agree with that, because the way that I see education and training, I do. One of my professors, he had this quote that goes along the lines of, you train people to perform and you educate people to understand. So you can't have one without the other. And that's a very important, especially for what you were mentioning in terms of Harry Potter. I mean, they can learn a bunch of things through textbook, but without that training and performance, then it's much harder for them to get better at what they're trying to learn.
I think there's also informal learning, things like reading a book as opposed to going to a classroom, or watching a film, or going to a museum or an art gallery, or having a conversation in a pub. Heavens forbid! I've never done that before.
No, never.
And you see that in in this informal type learning, because it is learning in science fiction. Luke Skywalker, New Hope, the first Star Wars movie from 1977. You look at some of the dialogue used. It's just be like a beggar's cannon back home. So what's that? Oh, but for shooting the Death Star, where you have to shoot down the missile through the little, exhaust tubes? Someone help me, please.
Exhaust port.
The exhaust
Thank
port.
you. Right, okay. Or I used to hit bullseyes, rump rats in my T-16 back home. No, it's skill-based, but it's still learning.
But you wonder how much of that was self-taught and how much of that was actual training, because I don't think it doesn't. From what little I know of Uncle Owen, I don't think he would have been teaching that kind of stuff to Luke. I think there's part, natural aptitude for piloting, and part, just learning how to do stuff. on your own.
Well, I say that in my own life. Like, if I was smart, which I'm smart in a way, but not in many other ways, I would have taken math and science. But I took it up to grade 10, and then I ran away from that, right into the histories and the English lit and all that good stuff. Was that a mistake? Well, in my personal life, yeah, it probably was. But I wasn't very good at math. And
now, see, I did take up to calculus and did terribly at it, and I don't apply it to anything in my life right now. But if I'm watching something like, say, Stargate, and they start rattling off, science tech, math tech, I will sit there and nod and go, yeah, I almost understand what they're talking about.
I'm always good at concepts.
I
like the way systems or processes work. But I'm not one of these guys who love getting in the weeds. I'm more of a force type guy, and which is very limiting in some ways. It's learning.
Student of all, master of none.
Yeah, that's about me. You know what? I got this plan. My plan is I'm going to find a video game, and I'm going to become really good at this video game and get the high score, and hopefully an alien will come down and let me become a starfighter.
Sounds like someone's read Armada.
That's another one. Well,
I haven't read Armada yet, but no, the Lost Starfighter. Yeah, hopefully the enemy doesn't wipe out the rest of the fleet before you get there, though.
Yeah, that's always a bad day.
That would kind of suck.
Yeah. So The Last Fighter was a Nick Castle movie that came out in 1984, and the main character, Alex Rogan, it was part of a RV home somewhere in the western United States. And he's a teenager, probably grade 12, and and they have one video game, so old style stand-up video game called The Starfighter, and he got the highest score, and that did something. That was the signal for the friendly alien race to come down and adopt him as someone who's skilled and talented, who has innate abilities, because that's what they're looking for to pilot their starfighters against the external threat.
Well, I mean that. In a way, you guys remember the movie Toys?
Vaguely.
Okay, so it's not a very well liked Robin Williams movie, but it is kind of scary because at one point in the movie they're basically recruiting kids and teaching them how to fly what the kids think are video games, and what it turns out that the kids are the ones flying all the drones and taking out enemy targets, but they just think it's a video game.
That was prescient.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think that came out in like the 90s.
Yeah, like early 90s.
Wow. I know I don't mean to drone on here, but this is really cool.
Yeah, that was 92.
All right. What else do we have?
Moving on.
Okay. Hey, how about this one, guys? How about the whole mentorship business? You have a master and an apprentice. Insert Star Wars reference.
That has Star Wars written all over it.
Yeah, Star Wars, any martial arts movie, pretty much.
Snatch the pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
Catch the fly in the chopsticks.
Cash me outside. How about that?
Oh my gosh.
Oy vey. I regret starting down this line of questioning.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's something you see in real life. It doesn't have to be this formalized, master-servant relationship or master-student relationship where, there can only be two, a master and an apprentice. The whole Darth Sidious, Anakin Skywalker, or Maul or whatever. It could be things like, just having a coach or have someone who's in your profession who's senior to you, and you just act as a mentor. And
right.
you think of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Jean-Luc Picard. He's a captain of the ship, but his XO, Will Riker, well, he does give mentorship to him. Well,
he gives mentorship to several people. He gives mentorship after a fashion to Wesley Crusher. I mean, everyone in the senior staff basically mentors Wes until he drops out of the academy. Spoiler alert.
I'm surprised to hear you pick out Riker because I haven't watched Next Generation recently, but my memory was that Riker was pretty already fully formed from the get-go because I mean, in the season 3 finale, Best of Both Worlds, they were talking about Riker taking his own ship.
Well, Riker had been offered a ship like three times.
Well, yeah, he kept turning down offers of command. So I never thought of him as being someone who needed mentoring.
Well, what the person wants and what the person needs are two different things. I mean, I can go off of my own experience. Like, you know, I'm not qualified to teach Aikido yet. I maybe eventually that will go. I will get into that space, but but one of the reasons, but I'm not ready to leave my teacher yet. And that may never happen, depending on whether I stay in LA for the next 10, 20 years or whether I move elsewhere. That it's what the person wants and what the person needs are two different things.
Mm. Well, I consider Joel to be my life mentor.
Oh.
Aww.
So someday you'll want to own a science fiction themed bar?
Yes.
Maybe,
one day I will usurp you.
It happens. This is the way of things, you know. And yeah, it's not bad.
I have no plans, Joel, to usurp you. Maybe eventually go off on my own, but never usurp.
That's great to hear. Thanks, guys.
Carrie, will you serve me once I've taken out Joel?
Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Andrea,
you.
will you be my security?
No. You're so cheap. I can't live. We can't have this.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. Okay, we all know in society and life that you know people have families. People have these family units. People work, but they have kids, and they have young kids. You know, it's a rare passage where you spend all these years at school or university or whatever, and then years pass, and then everyone, half your friends, they get hitched and they have families and they change their lifestyles. In science fiction, like I can only think of a handful of examples of where they actually showed that, like daycares or primary schools. You know, I think in the Expanse is great because you have the example of Prax and his daughter at the daycare, which is a plot point.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you do occasionally see a daycare on the Enterprise D, but that's because we have their families on the Enterprise, which is not that can be debated whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, especially since the Enterprise is always getting nearly blown up every other week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. From a practical point of view, is it a good thing to send small children into space? I don't know.
Well, it depends what level of technology we're talking about, because like in the Expanse world, they get their little bones deformed and whatnot because
they have
of
to
zero
take
gravity.
supplements. They have to take supplements to survive in gravity.
But in Star Wars world, all that stuff is taken care of.
Interesting. So I know you mentioned Enterprise D. Is there? You guys are much better at Star Trek than I am. Is there any examples of you see classrooms on Star Trek?
In Deep Space Nine, Keiko O'Brien taught a school in the early seasons. They kind of dropped that idea later on, but the first season finale, In the Hands of the Prophets, is actually centered around her. It was a debate between her teaching a scientific definition of the wormhole and the Bajoran wormhole prophet aliens, and the Bajoran religious faith taking offense at that because she wasn't saying that they were, their religious deities, that they were just aliens living in a wormhole.
Well, that goes to that's actually that goes to what the debate is here for whether to teach evolution or not. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same concept. Is like, do you teach evolution and creationism, or do you just teach the science?
And I was just watching the episode earlier.
Which version of creation do you teach? Because
the Bajoran one.
Yeah, well, in Star Trek, you would teach the Bajoran one, but
without going, go ahead, Derek.
I was just watching that episode earlier, and I did notice that her schooling was very discovery based. I wouldn't necessarily call it Montessori, but she was kind of leading a discussion with the students rather than just lecturing them. She was she was presenting them with facts and then asking the students what their opinion about it was. So it was kind of a creative thinking kind of thing, not just mindless reiteration of facts.
And now
not just stuffing things into someone's brain.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's probably more Andrea's style of teaching.
I was just going to ask that, is that the way that you guys were taught?
No.
And that's an interesting part because I can only speak for myself in terms of the way that I teach, but it's more about allowing the students to come to their own conclusions based on the evidence that I provide. One of my actually all-time favorite subjects to teach is actually evolution. I can go on and on about it. It's one of my passions. It was very interesting because one of my placements when I was in university was in a Catholic school, and they have their own understanding of how the world was created, and how was I it was pretty interesting how I was able to apply evolution to that Christianity, for them to be able to better understand what's going on and how the science can be connected to what the religion is. So I do like the more student hands-on aspect of it instead of me having to sit in the front and lecture them, because I don't like it. I like them being more involved in their own education than me just spewing out information and then hoping to God that they actually get it.
I know at law school, it's based off the Harvard model. It's very Socratic, where the law prof or professor will go and simply, there's a problem, and then just start asking questions and have the students ask questions. So it's a way of thinking. It's a way of it's a discipline of thinking.
And that's definitely not taught in I mean, it may be taught more in schools now, but it definitely wasn't taught in the last 10 or 20 years. It's not in LA.
It's the study of philosophy, and philosophy has been around as a form of discipline for quite a while. The problem is that if you question everything, then nothing is real, and you can deconstruct everything, and that's tearing things down and not building things up. So it's and that in itself is a problem. It can be critical. So life is hard sometimes when you think about these issues, but it's great, And just to go back to this idea of going back to Star Trek and having a classroom or these aliens, I like when science fiction incorporates some elements of, say, Westerns, because it's about civilizing a hostile environment. And you see this as a theme within Westerns. You see it in Deadwood. By season 2, season 3, they're trying to build a school. They're trying to establish roots. And you see that in science fiction as well. And I think schools and education, it's part about the civilization process.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, I need a drink. No, okay, go ahead.
I need another beer.
I was joking when I said earlier that education is about teaching to the test, but my understanding is that modern day American high schools, that's basically what they're doing anymore. I went to high school in the late 90s, and we were already shifting towards that model. We started having to take a lot more tests, and the teachers were complaining about it. But my understanding is nowadays, that's pretty much all you're doing. You're just teaching kids how to pass these standardized tests and very little else.
Not really engaging the students.
Well, the thing is that at its core, what's the outcome of finishing high school? What's the outcome of finishing elementary school? It's for you to graduate and go find a job and go to university to find a job. But I feel like it's more of how would you call it? The first thing that comes to mind is like a conveyor belt. You're just making these people that are just going to be able to do something for society, whereas the change happens within the classroom. The teachers have more power to be able to influence the future generations than the actual school system itself. And I think that there needs to be a lot more teachers that influence children in the positive ways and teach them not just academics, but other aspects of life in order for them to succeed. And that's something that a lot of teachers don't have sometimes. They're just mindlessly teaching what the curriculum wants them to teach.
So what you're saying is we need to stand up on our desks and rip up our textbooks.
No. That's not what I meant.
Book burning. Great.
No book burning.
Okay.
No, but there needs to be a change in the way that teachers approach how they teach students, because you cannot teach a student the same way that we were taught. Things change. The way that students learn changes the same way.
Yeah, and it's neat. And I think a lot of our listeners, and perhaps Carrie and Derek, doesn't realize the differences between the Canadian school system and the American version. Because in Canada, there's no SATs.
Really?
Unless you go into the
that would have
private
been
sectors.
so much
Yeah,
better.
yeah. So in other words, you have tests and all that, but there's not a standardized test you need to go to get into a university as an undergraduate. And in Canada, we call universities and colleges are different. In Canada, university is academic, college is more skill based. Mm-hmm. So it's a different way of that's just the use of the word.
You just blew my mind, boss.
Yeah, there you go.
I bombed the SATs, so that was not a fun time.
I did good on them.
Whatever.
Calm down, Derek. Calm down.
Well, actually, I had a really good verbal score, but a horrible math score. So it's kind of like the one balanced out the other one. Because I'm awful at math. Just awful.
It adds up. Well, the other thing is that you're right. The United States, at the graduate level, they do love their testing. My understanding, if you want to go to, say, do a master's degree program somewhere in the States, there's this standardized testing for grad school. And of course, there's
MSAT.
Yeah, for law school, there's the LSAT, and we have it in Canada as well. We use the same test. I've written it twice. I wrote it once. When was it? Late '90s, and I wrote it again 10 years later, and I got basically the same score, slightly above mediocre.
Well, but that's kind of reflected in at least Star Trek as well, because the first 3 or 4 seasons, Wes went and tested to get into Starfleet Academy twice, and Picard actually mentions that he failed his entrance exam the first time, but not the second time.
Yeah, it's like me failing my first driving test when I was 16 for the first time. I had to wait a month, and then I got it my second time trying.
Exactly.
Amazing. You know what I need? I need a private tutor. If you're part of the elite, the wealth, I love this David Lynch's Dune, 1984 movie, Dune. And it was panned by the critics. And people laugh at me when I say, I love that movie because I was 10 and I went to this movie theater and I saw it, and it's a very long movie, and it made me go out and read the books and all that good stuff. But
it was okay. I actually preferred the miniseries that SciFi did in like the 90s.
I think it was about 2000 because I was in
90s.
college for it, so it was somewhere around 2001.
Yeah, so Dune and Children of Dune, but yeah, that's actually what got me to read the book, because the imagery in the miniseries was much better, I thought.
yeah, I actually
I know the cast is better in the movie. I don't care.
But that's my point. It's Patrick Stewart. It's a pre-Jean-Luc
Patrick
Picard
Stewart was
role.
in the freaking Emoji Movie. Do you think I'm going to go watch that?
He was in King Arthur. He was great in King Arthur.
You mean Excalibur?
Yeah. See, I have my own names for these movies.
It also had Dean Stockwell and Sting. I still prefer the miniseries.
Okay.
You can't deny the amazing visual designs of the cinematic movie, though. Everything was so crazy looking.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, my point is that if you're the son of a duke of the House Atreides, right, okay, you can be treated slightly differently. Like, you have Paul Atreides. He's being trained by Patrick Stewart, who is playing this character called Gurney Halleck. That's great. Imagine if you have your own personal, combat coordinator.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, would that we all had those access to those kinds of tutors. We could all learn, at our own pace and stuff.
Yeah.
However.
Yeah, and you think about this in today's society. If you're part of the British royal family, if you're I hate to say this, if your father is or was president of the United States, if you are from CEO of whatever famous huge company, you'll be treated differently in the private system.
Exactly.
And your education will probably be much better.
Oh yeah, of course it would be, because your parents can afford to send you off to private education.
Yeah, there was a period in my life where I actually worked security while going to law school at this private college, basically, for grades 1 through 12. I'm not going to mention the name of the school, but they did me a really good solid because they gave me a decent job working the weekends. But it's nice to it's nice to be the king. It's nice to have money and send your kids to private school because the difference, what I've seen just from the outside, is just night and day. And I didn't go to good schools. My high school was a bit of a dump. I went to several different high schools, but I think at the end of the day is you have to deal with the cards that's dealt with you, dealt to you, and then go from there.
Right.
Yes, science fiction. Definitely the science fiction.
Would that we all lived in Star Trek universe where we could all afford to go and learn whatever it is that we excelled at. Yeah.
And the thing is, without education, like in science fiction, think of we're going to have like Mad Max Fury Road if there's no one's educated. You're going to have a breakdown in society. Or the flip side, going to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you're going to have these utopias like THX 1137, the George Lucas film 71, where you're going to have these automatons. And they have this ability to go and do their task for 18 hours a day, and then they can sleep or find enjoyment in drugs or pornography or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a slave mentality, right? So it's like in Russia during the Soviet Union, vodka was dirt cheap. Why? Because the government wants people to have access to vodka because they are less likely to cause problems for the government.
Right.
And yeah, we do have a stock of vodka at the bar, just let you know.
That's
Keep
good.
everyone happy.
Okay, Derek, I know you mentioned previously, not in this conversation, but in others, Babylon 5, the Psy-Core. Tell me about that.
Well, they find it's kind of like the Jedi Academy, only more sinister. They identify children with telepathic capability when they're very, very little. And then they take them away from their parents and put them in the Psy-Core, which is basically a little cult where they get brainwashed to be jackbooted thugs and to hate the mundanes. And basically they're a little conspiracy of telepaths planning to take over the world. So it's all about brainwashing and, hating others, people different from you.
So I'm thinking they played some head games there?
Lots and lots of head games.
I hope you don't mind. Yeah. I make puns just because it keeps me awake. That's the only reason I make puns.
It's the only way that keeps your brain thinking, right?
There's a few stories there. Okay. Okay, now I have a question. And please educate me. Make this edifying, okay? So we have this franchise that's been around for about 50-odd years called Doctor Who. It's British. You might have heard of that.
Maybe just a little bit.
Never heard of it.
So you have a doctor in the title. I know he's not called Doctor Who in at the show. He's the Doctor. But what's up with that? Did he go to school? Did he spend some time at the local university doing med school or maybe philosophy or maybe a school? A doctorate in time travel?
He actually did go to a Time Lord Academy, but it wasn't a medical one. He chose the name The Doctor because he desires to help people. It's not a medical thing. But he did actually go to an academy.
Well, that's illegal, okay? If the doctors, they're College of Physicians and Surgeons, they find out about that stuff. You can't do that. You can't go around calling yourself a doctor if you're not a doctor.
Well, I call myself Dr. Love. Nobody seems to care.
Okay.
We
Have
really
a drink,
need
guys.
to know that. I need another beer.
Yeah, that's a different type of bar, Derek.
Much higher cover charge.
Yeah, you're cheap. We know.
Okay. This has been great. Any other thoughts about education and science fiction?
I do have one last thought. It's something I've thought about for my own science fiction series. I was basically, wondering thousands of years from now, what any kind of technology could exist and how would that make a story work or not work. At one point, I was thinking that everyone can just have a book or knowledge just transmitted into their head so they instantly know it with complete recall. But then I decided not to do that because if everybody knows everything with perfect recollection, then everybody is just brilliant, and there's not really a good story in that because everybody's just going to be like a brilliant Einstein to be able to solve any problem. So I decided not to do that. Do you guys think that sounds like something that could make for an interesting story or something that would kill the drama of any situation?
Well, that depends. I mean,
Yeah.
Because you're basically talking the Matrix now, where you can, have, the knowledge of all fighting schools uploaded into your brain.
Well, that was more just about muscle reflexes, though. I'm talking about, actual knowledge, in entire books.
But that's
key. But in the Matrix, they also had, the ability to fly a chopper uploaded into your brain as well. So,
that's true.
I would love to have that for, like, especially languages, because I deal with a lot of Spanish and Armenian speakers in my job. But for something like, say, martial arts, it's one thing to have the knowledge in your brain of how to do that, but it's another thing to have that knowledge in your body. So, it works for the Matrix because everything that happens in the Matrix, it's all happening in the mind, and so the mind can tell the virtual body what to do. But but in real life, Neo might know how to do kung fu, but he wouldn't actually have the physical stamina to do it.
But let's think about it in terms of education. What if every single student has all the textbooks downloaded into their brain and they all have 100% recollection? Everybody is going to have the same test scores then. How do you pick someone?
Education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of all the laid off teachers.
You're out of a job, Andrea.
I know. But again, I'm not in a traditional school system. So what if there's a resistance to what you're saying? There's a resistance to being able to learn everything just by having something placed in your brain.
But if you decided not to have that knowledge, you would be instantly at a severe disadvantage from the rest of society.
Yes, but what makes you more human? Being able to learn on your own the things that you need, or again, planting something in your head that enhances your abilities to recollect things.
But what does your humanity matter if you can't get a job or make money?
Humanity is everything. Yeah. Well, it would depend. Those are little things that make up the whole entire picture. Now you were only talking about the education aspect of it. Now you're talking about a job, and now you're talking about other aspects of life.
Yeah, it's one thing to know calculus, but it's a completely different thing to be able to apply it in your life. So yeah, you could have someone upload all mathematical equations into your brain, but will that give you the ability to be an engineer? Possibly not.
And to be honest, the brain can only hold so much in, so I could see problems happening with that.
And not to mention, it's going to kill our trivia night.
Exactly. See, that's the only reason why I wouldn't want all that knowledge in the world, because then I wouldn't be able to play trivia night.
Yeah. And this is fascinating, and I would drop that dime and have it downloaded to my brain without that second thought, but it still doesn't teach you how to think. Mm-hmm. You can read Plato's The Republic, but can you understand it? And can you understand how influential of a book that is that's been written 2,500 years ago? That's
actually, I'm going to bring this up, and a lot of people are going to probably hate me for it, depending, I don't know, but my students sometimes do. Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I can read everything in terms of Shakespeare, and it's not. A lot of students get into the mindset of like, oh my God, he's so old school. I don't understand his language, but it's not about understanding the language on its own. It's diving deeper into what happened during that time period, understanding the themes behind it. And then I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy English, because I can dissect a lot of the things that are happening. So I enjoy that.
Yeah, me think that they'll protest too much. I love Shakespeare, you know?
I like Shakespeare too.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, guys, we forgot the most important part of the show. I think our discussion has been wrapped up. We're going to have a special bonus segment happening right now because we have a guest. Are you ready for this?
Screwed.
I was not told of this. Sorry, I apologize in advance, Andrea.
Yeah, this is nothing to sweat over. This is more about picking your brain because you are a teacher. You obviously have experience dealing with students.
Okay.
Right, and you also you're host of the Expanse podcast called The Crash Couch. So I want you to use your imagination. I want to suspend your willful disbelief, your disbelief willfully, okay, of what you actually know, okay? So it takes someone like, I don't know, what's a major character from The Expanse? Jim Holden?
Sure, yes.
Sure, why not? Okay. Yeah, on the show, he's a bit rash, you could say that. But if he was younger and you were his teacher, what type of student do you think he would be or would have been?
He would have been a student who would have dissected everything I said. He would have asked a bunch of questions. He would have been one of those students that liked to know more than what I was teaching, I think.
Would you think he would have problems with authority, about your authority as a teacher?
I think it would depend, because he has had a lot of problems with authority or people above his rank. So I think he would push, I don't want to say push boundaries, but see how far he can question education or anything that was being taught.
Interesting. And why do you say that in terms of what type of student he would have been?
Well, because, and I'm just going to strictly talk about the TV show. First season, he has a lot of trouble. And well, even in the first book, he has a lot of trouble. When he's giving something to do, he has a lot of trouble doing it or taking command of situations without questioning them. I really don't know how to describe it.
Okay. How about another character? How about Naomi? Naomi Nagata?
Yes, Nagata.
Which is one of my personally favorite characters on the Expanse TV show. What type of student would she be?
She'd be the type who would listen to everything that was being taught, and then she'd probably get out of class and question why she's learning this stuff.
This is great. This is very insightful. This is like psychology, a master's degree 101.
She would be the one that's like, okay, why am I sitting in a classroom? Can you just put me somewhere and I can actually do things? She would be more hands-on. She would like labs.
The dogs?
Lab? No.
Okay. One more, then I'll let you off the hook, okay, Andrea? I have this thing, the ex-cop guy, Joe Miller. I'm guessing he's probably be a really poor student. He's probably out there. He probably shows up to class drunk. What do you think?
Well, I mean, being drunk is the same as like probably going to class high. He'd probably spend most of his time in the hallways or in the principal's office.
If he actually makes it to school.
Exactly.
Nice. So there's hope for everyone then.
Exactly.
Okay. Excellent job. You won something which we will figure out later, okay?
Vodka.
Vodka. Right, that's going to wrap up the show. Andrea, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Your insight is what this show is aiming for, is to bring interesting people with something to say and to talk about things in a very casual, yet informative way.
You just like her because she's Canadian.
It's
I'm half
2 against
American.
2, Derek. You're just jealous.
And of course, I want a big thanks to my staff, which is Derek Beebe and Carrie Simpson. So before let's see all you guys. Twitter handles. Is it handles the right word? Twitter
Yes.
accounts? I know there's much debate on this topic. So let's start with our guests. Andrea, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at catsbears. It's KATZBEARZ.
Cool.
Question: what is a Z?
Oh,
It's a
God.
Z.
I know it's Canadian.
Dumbass.
That's a goat, dumbass. Inside joke.
Hey, I'm just being the American in the audience for the people who are listening. They'll be like,
It's okay. Chris and Lou do the same thing to me.
Oh, we're sorry to hear that. Okay.
I spent too much time in Germany. I tend to think European, so I will ignore Derek.
most people
and
do.
his Americanness.
Right, Derek, how's our kitchen anyways?
It is teeming with deliciousness.
Excellent. And if people have any complaints about the food, where can they direct that to?
At Derek J. Beebe, and I actually go on Twitter almost once a day. So, yeah, I'm all about it now.
Yeah, so it's the reason why we are in a decline as a society is because Derek's on Twitter. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that explains so much.
I mostly post cute dog gifs. So, if you're saying that dogs are destroying society, go right ahead.
I love dogs.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just growing in general.
Right, Carrie.
Yes.
So if there's anyone who's wants to get in contact with you to offer you a better job, where can they find you?
I am at Carrie Blackfire. 42. Is it Carrie Blackfire 42?
He's asking us.
I'm asking myself. I obviously need another beer. Yeah, Carrie Blackfire 42.
Okay,
That's
great.
KERI Blackfire 42.
And with me, I'm Joe Welch. My Twitter handle is my first name, JOEL_Welch, like the grape juice, WELCH. So that's where I'm at on Twitter. As for the show, we do have our own Twitter account, the SciFi Pubcast Twitter handle. Please follow that. I'm mostly, it's me who's tweeting it out, but sometimes Derek and Carrie takes it over.
Yeah.
Also, we have a Facebook page, which we are not really using all that much yet, but we will add content to that. And please like it, because we're just doing this for fun. We're doing this for the conversation, and we're doing it for the beer. And you're invited. And lastly, it's time to beg our customers to leave an iTunes review. No, we're not asking for money. We want you just to go and leave a review if it's actually good, because we don't have any reviews yet, and that's how people can find us on iTunes. So if you're inclined, please spend 20 seconds to write 1 or 2 witty sentences. You can leave Derek out if you so do wish, but it would greatly appreciate that.
Whatever happened to time is money? And you just said that you're not asking for money.
Because I'm in a conflict of interest because of my real-time employment, okay? Okay. It gets complex, and let's not talk about that.
Plus, I think Derek would be way too interested in the money aspect. And
That's true.
we'd actually have to pay him, and that would just be bad.
Yeah. What I don't want is advertisers and run commercials during our podcast for other bars, so that'll be self-defeating. So, okay, guys, any last things to say?
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes, it has, and thank you for all, and thank you for our loyal listeners, and we're slowly making this pubcast better, show by show. Have a very great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Juran. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.